lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join this discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Ranty Flat Earth, Platzoid, Sleeping Warrior, Chocolate Sane, 10th Man and Arwin. How are you all doing?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Hello. And we're also
Hello,
joined by
hello.
a metric buttload, as they say, of people in Discord. So very happy to have you all.
Have you gone back to 2 shows a day, Nathan?
Thursday, so
Hello. Thank you.
I do 2 shows
Great
on a
link,
Thursday and
Nathan.
2 shows on a Friday.
Gold star as always for the link.
We've got Len Nathan. I think Len's a glober. He wants to have a word with you about the globe or the nature of where we live. Is that all right?
Let's finish what Flatzoid was saying, please, Spurs.
Well,
Yeah, I
actually,
agree.
Oh, I think there's a request from the higher ups.
We got to wrap up this point, Spurs, because
otherwise you'll bring it back tomorrow, Spurs, and we'll go through it again.
Yeah, we're
exactly.
done with
So I went through the trouble to make this video for you.
Seems you've been outvoted, Spurs.
Okay, let's start at the beginning again.
Thank
It's
you,
not
Armin.
that long anyway.
Sorry, Len. We'll try to make this as brief as possible. Guys, put a mirror in front of the exhaust. If there's no moisture, put a rag, put a sponge. If there's no moisture, then we have something to talk about. Other than that, there's no way that you moved or
You are ridiculous.
Spurs, I have 100.
Really,
I have 1,000
Spurs?
PSI nitrous
He
oxide.
don't know what
has
you're
a
saying
valid
anymore.
point. I'm sorry, but he has a valid point.
No, he doesn't actually.
He does,
Spurs,
Sanic. Don't
Spurs, I have
stop.
1,000 PSI nitrous oxide bottle, no water in it at all. Can you explain that? And I can prove it by spraying it on a mirror if you want. There's no moisture in there at all. How do you have 1,000 PSI and no moisture if moisture?
Talking about air. But look, Zanik, really, Nathan, Len, he's a glober.
What is
Glober?
this for schemo? What is this over
You're not
here?
answering the question. You're not answering the question. I have 1,000 PSI container of air, no moisture in it. It weighs 10 pounds, by the way. You can weigh it, so we know it's in there.
Look, this atmospheric pressure argument is not going anywhere.
No,
No one's
you're-
going to demonstrate anyway.
I'm
So
just curious.
You're right about
Hold
that.
on, Zanik and
Whole
Spurs.
moisture thing-
So hold on, everyone be quiet. Hold on.
This-
Zanik is
this
trying to
whole
make an
moisture
example.
thing is
Zanik,
completely
that means
new.
you as well. Spurs, he's trying to give you an example that's not using atmospheric pressure, just a gas pressure. I can't remember, nitrous oxide, I think he said, something of that nature. But you're not listening to his example. You're just hand-waving it again. So I don't want to spend 5 more times letting Zanik's actual example sink in and you give it any recognition. Just please acknowledge his example. He's going to give it again, hopefully, if he's conciliatory. We'll see. Go ahead, Zanik.
Yeah, I will. So nitrous oxide, basically same percentages of nitrogen and oxygen in the air, and I have it pressurized to 1,000 psi. It weighs 10 pounds. You can actually measure the weight of it, and it has no moisture in there whatsoever. In fact, doctors use it. They can't have moisture in there. People that work in the industrial arena that use it to do welding cannot have moisture in those containers. They're all pressurized between 1,000 and 1,500 psi. No moisture in the containers whatsoever. How do you explain that with your theory that moisture or water vapor or whatever you think it has in it causes the pressure?
Once again, Zan, it will make it very brief. You would have to demonstrate that there is no gradient. You would have to demonstrate that it's actually pressurized. And then also you would have to demonstrate that the liquid has been
herring.
removed. Now, can we please
I
allow
told you
Len?
what I
Okay, he's been
told you.
waiting very patiently.
You're hand waving. You're hand waving my example. You're not explaining.
I'm not, but I don't want to make this a long. This takes
I don't need a- I
ages
don't need a
to
long
talk about.
Let's try and get
I'm
control
just-
again.
actually, I'm
You
just-
are hand waving his example. So he's giving you an example of gas that's not dependent on moisture or water or anything of that nature whatsoever, and you're just saying, well, you're hand waving it.
He did the same thing when
I
Paul
said he
gave him
actually-
the example. He said, "Oh, is there a gradient in
I
there?"
can videotape it. I can videotape
Freaking
you
red
spraying
herring.
the gas on a mirror if you'd like. If you think that is the example you
Look,
need.
tonight on Dr. Science Flat Earth Initiatives, I know you don't want to plug them. I'm having this discussion about atmospheric pressure. Chocolate, you know this. So
But no,
tonight, get into this
we
further and
understand.
deeper.
We understand
right?
you deny pressure. I just gave you another example because I heard you were talking about pressurized CO2 or pressurized air containers that have gas dryers on them to remove the moisture. And this is a new angle. I haven't heard this water theory before, so I'm wondering how that's possible. How do you have CO2 cartridges? How do you have CO2 containers? Oxygen, pure nitrogen, nitrous oxide, compressed air, all completely dry, 1,000 psi. Where does the pressure come from if it's due to moisture and there's no moisture in those containers?
Zanik, I could kiss you. Yes, precisely.
You could kiss him until he tells you it's gravity that holds the pressure
No,
down.
that's not what he's
Len,
arguing.
Len,
He didn't mention it once.
Len, can you
Right, straw man, red herring, fallacy. No. I'm
Spurs,
agreeing
don't straw man him, man.
specifically
You
with
know
the
he never
context of what he
mentioned
just said.
gravity.
That's it. He said it. It's right. That's it.
There's that kind of pressure, thousands of psi, running power tools, taking off lug nuts off your wheels. It's not like it's not existing. You can't deny there's no pressure in there because it does work.
Yeah, he is. That's exactly what he's doing, Zanik. It's absurd. But yes, that's what he is doing.
And he's saying if it does work, it's only working because there's water in that gas.
Yeah, I mean, you've already proved there's no water in there. There can't be water in there. In most of these applications, it'd
Tell
be
Spurs
catastrophic to have water in there. Catastrophic. You know what that word means? Go look it up. You can't have water in
You've got to guess. Len, again, been requested to have a discussion with you. He wants to talk about the globe. He believes. Well,
Do
let's
you
find out what he wants.
concede, Spurs?
Check your mic.
I suppose.
Do you
Can you hear me?
concede before we go to Len?
Yeah, Spurs, you've got to
Len,
concede. He's
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Spurs, for putting me forward. I'm not a Glober, by the way, but it was basically just in regards to a Rob Skiba video I watched before I joined the chats. It's basically he's discussing some declassified documents which state in 1948 both Russia and America were finding it difficult to discern what we lived on and the measurements of the world when it was meant to have been settled thousands of years before through the likes of Pythagoras and whatnot. I just wondered if anyone else had seen this and the thoughts on it.
You want to run that by us again?
Yeah, I haven't seen this particular video, but could you repeat the point? I didn't hear.
The point is he's discussing some declassified CIA documents on both America and Russia that in the, I think it was the 40s. It's like a 21-minute long video. I can't remember all the information from one view through it. But yeah, it's saying that they would find it difficult to discern whether it was flat or a globe within that time when it was meant to have been settled science long before.
There's loads of evidence that's contrary like that, like even from NASA. It's just one of many, that document.
Yeah, they've talked about
But it was mainly if
having
anyone
their
had seen it or if they had any points on it.
Martin Marietta, Boeing, all these companies talk about their instruments and what they're creating with their technology over a flat Earth surface, not a globe. They have that in writing already.
Yeah, I literally have a NASA document in my phone right now that clearly states that they take the Earth as a flat, non-rotational plane. Numerous times it's mentioned in that document too, which has to do with flight, right?
Yeah.
So when you're putting vehicles in the air, obviously you have to be on point, right? So they're not going to pretend that it's something that it's not, which is why they tell you it's a flat, non-rotational plane.
Correct.
I'd show you a picture of a beautiful water ball in a vacuum. So, yeah.
Well, thank you, Lin
Sorry to
Lin.
change the
Spurs, can we get
conversation,
back
guys.
to you conceding before you come on tomorrow and the next day and the next day? Are you going to concede
I mean,
to
well,
the
again,
test?
you know, Len, I think, you know, he wants to have a discussion.
Excuse
trying
me. Don't hide behind Lin.
Not.
You
I agree,
said
Spurs. Spurs, you're running
You
away
s-
from addressing the point. The point on the table is that you demonstrated not to be correct in this instance. You are expected to concede.
Oh, absolutely not. He would have to show that, like I said, with a mirror, Anthony and Flatzoid, put a mirror right by your exhaust there and show that there is zero moisture on that mirror, or a rag, like Silent Zero said, or a sponge, something that could absorb possible moisture, right? And there you can show, look, it's completely dry. The mirror is completely dry. There is zero moisture, right? And I just
Fine,
can't
I'll-
see how that would be
I'll
possible.
do that for you. How's that?
If you remove, if you literally
how
removed
would
all
a
the water,
mirror absolutely prove
it would
that?
rust.
Though,
Not
Spurs?
rust. Sorry. It wouldn't be able to lubricate, and it just wouldn't work. It would fall apart.
Spurs.
You obviously need the
How would a
liquid
mirror
there.
absolutely prove that?
Say again, chocolate.
Don't worry,
How
I'm
would
going to
a
do a quick
mirror-
video for you.
Well, first of all, there's moisture outside in the air. So when the dry
Right.
air is coming out and you got a mirror, it's not a controlled. You can't control that variable. Number two, Paul showed it. Xanax,
Man, it's not
Xanax just.
controlled. Now you're learning, right? You need to do science,
I
not
talk,
some random
Spurs?
garage shed a
Spurs?
demonstration and say, look, the
Are you gonna
water's
talk over
gone,
me,
right? It
Spurs?
needs to be
Are you gonna
laboratory
talk over me,
conditions.
Spurs?
Okay, so we can all look at the.
Are you going to talk over me,
It needs to be
Spurs?
laboratory conditions.
You came on the show and said if you could prove by taking water out, you're done with this topic. And Flatzoid proved that. Paul proved that. Xana came up today with his example. And I got a question. I got a question for Flatzoid. Hang on, I got a question for Flatzoid. No,
hang
Riley,
on.
Hold on, Anthony. Just let 10th man ask you questions.
Flatzoid, why did you buy the air dryer for your business when you paint? What's it supposed to do?
He actually might be busy because I think he just said he's going to make a video right now for Spurs.
Oh,
I'm gonna quickly make a video for him so I can shut this down.
But let me ask you a
Go
real
ahead,
quick
go ahead,
question.
Flat.
Yeah, why did you buy the air dryer in the first place for your business?
Otherwise, the paint's gonna lift. You can't have water mixing with paint.
And when you do have water mixing with paint, can you see it on the object the paint is on?
Yes, it comes out your spray gun.
Right. And so you can't have that when you paint. So you need this air dryer to get rid of all the water so that your paint is just pressurized with no water, correct?
Exactly. You want as little imperfections as possible.
Thank you very much. Go ahead, make your.
It has no liquid.
Hold on. Go ahead, Sleeping Warrior.
I think what Spurs is the reason why Spurs is objecting is because when you put more pressure into a container, he's saying that the gas that was in there is becoming liquid. It's changing state from gas to liquid. Is that what you're trying to say, Spurs?
Absolutely, that is pressurized gas. Yes.
Oh, that's wrong.
That is.
Hang on, it
You
might
can't
not
have
be.
pressurized gas without it liquefying.
It might not be because if you look at
That
a
is
phase
true,
diagram
Nathan,
for any
actually, man.
liquid. Hang on, let me speak. If you look at a phase diagram for any liquid or any gas, you can see that at atmosphere, like at normal temperatures where we live, atmospheric pressure at normal temperatures, it'll exist either as a liquid or as a gas. But if you increase the pressure, it does different gases and different liquids act in different ways. But they do change states based on changing the pressure. So Spurs might actually have half a point because if the pressure does change, the state of a liquid or a gas can change by virtue of the pressure alone. Spurs has got a point.
It's more than a point. And when these people realise they've
he's
made
not
a huge
arguing
error,
for
and
he's not arguing for phase changes.
You see,
he's arguing
This
for
is
the
why we're gonna-
necessity to
we're
have
gonna press
liquid.
the question.
That's not his argument.
It's liquefied when you pressurize gas. We don't walk around in liquid. It's not pressurized. It's just, we don't even know what it is, just water or liquid, right? And all of these gas laws are going out the window, right? All of these Boyle's laws, this thermodynamics, all of these things have to be reviewed, revised, and we have to look at it with new eyes, right? We can't just go back to the original globe understanding of why they have pressure, why things work the way they work. That's gone.
It's not. You're just throwing it out for no reason, with no justification or citations for any of this shit that you assert. You make it up and assume that you're debunking something that somebody's shown you. You ignore every example that defies what you're claiming, and you're telling us that we've got to throw out natural law now. No. Who are you?
Hey,
It's all going to go.
You can throw it out, Spurs, and we'll laugh at you. Go ahead.
Spurs, the reason you're doing this is because you have no proof for a container. Is that what your problem is with this?
It's not. That's not the only problem. You can't take pressure inside the container, chocolate. There's just no way. You have to be outside the container to take the pressure.
Do you accept that we can only have gas pressure if there is a container?
Chocolate. What he's asking, how would you measure the pressure inside of a tire? What instrument would you use to measure the pressure inside of the tire?
The pressure gauge.
Tire gauge.
Pressure gauge.
Exactly. What?
Pressure gauge.
Inside the tire.
You're not inside a tire. What are you talking about?
You mean put a gauge inside the tire and then measure it?
Oh, I see.
Inside the tire.
Yeah, I see. You mean if there was if you were theoretically stood in?
They understand, Silent. They understand. But again, it would take time. It's a new way.
No, don't patronise us, you little prick. If you're stood inside a metaphorically giant tyre, how would you take the pressure if you haven't got something attached to the walls of the container to become a gauge? Yeah, you use a barometer.
Exactly, Nathan. Exactly.
Use a barometer.
Yeah,
that's the whole point.
Barometer.
Yes, a barometer. How many seconds before Spurs denies this?
So
Let's see how long it
gravity
takes.
On the barometer?
Yeah, you could stand inside the tyre, metaphorically enormous, with you with a barometer in your hand, yeah.
Why again will we need to accept gravity?
Hold on, chocolate. Short pause. Possibly a hand wave dismissal or a total ignorance of what's just been stated. We shall see.
Wasn't it Adam Meakin who said water will freeze at a lower temperature of about, I can't remember, was it 30 degrees or whatever, minus, and then he said nitrogen would take minus 200, so you could freeze the water in the balloon and all the water would be in the solid and you still would have gas pressure.
I will say it slowly, 10th man. Inside the container. How are you taking a pressure reading from within?
It only took about 30 seconds then. So when I just gave a metaphorical example inside a giant tyre with a barometer, it was just completely ignored, like I hadn't even said it. Literally, that's what's just happened. It's like I didn't say it. Let's just try it. Hello? Barometer. 5 more times? 6 more times? 20 more times? How many more times?
How do they work?
Oh, now we're being back to square one.
Yeah, explain how it works, Nathan. Because it seems like you don't understand that they need gravity for a barometer to work, man.
No, that's how they qualify it. This was described to you by a baller yesterday. So the baller explained that their
SX, bro. What?
Dude,
I'm good.
Don't make me laugh this hard.
Okay, let me just try and throw that back at you, right? Oh. So are you saying that because their description of how things displace, i.e. relative density, contains a presupposition of a gravity force, that because we deny gravity, ultimately the effects of relative density no longer apply? Because that's the analogous example when you say, well, no, their description of how a barometer works includes gravity. I couldn't care less. It doesn't change the mechanics. Their arbitrary scale doesn't change what's happening. The description
And
mathematically, including gravity, makes sod all difference.
Nathan, that you don't know how they work. If you did know how, or if you
Yeah,
really
what a prick. Condescending, patronising prick.
not even look at a barometer.
Hold on,
throw
and
it
I ask you
Spurs,
to name
why
an
are you
apparatus
this
that
tenacious
that
about
measures
this
the relative density, and you didn't know how. You didn't tell me one.
My point is that because there's a mechanism described mathematically or verbally with a presupposition attached, which turns out to be incorrect, doesn't mean anything in terms of the mechanics that's taking place. They still take place. It doesn't matter if I change the scale from... I haven't finished. If I change the scale from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 5,000, 10,000, etc., it doesn't make any difference how I describe, how I put that scale on. Now, if my description, when I change it from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 5,000, 10,000, 15,000, includes unicorn farts as a reason, does that mean that the mechanism of what's taking place changes? No. If the whole world believes my description, my arbitrary assignment of numbers, with unicorn farts, does that mean anything? No. None whatsoever. Doesn't mean anything with relative density, that they attribute gravity to it, and it doesn't matter in this instance either.
It does matter. A barometer is not a math equation, first of all.
Yeah, but gravity is.
And,
yeah, gravity
and
is, though. Yeah, but gravity is.
Nathan,
yeah, but gravity is.
Nathan, I haven't finished.
Yeah, but gravity is. You're saying, oh, well, the barometer... My point is that it's a mechanical device doing something. Your point is that gravity isn't real, but it's attributed to the mechanical device. And you're saying, well, the mechanical device is real. Well, is gravity real?
SX, how do they say gravity is used in the barometer?
That's the point. If gravity is not real, atmospheric pressure is not real. They're not real.
No, that's ludicrous.
Wow.
That's called throwing the baby out with the bathwater. No, not at all.
Force involved to make a barometer work. If you understand the difference between a barometer and a thermometer, and I still think Chemo still can't discern between the two. If he can, I would like to hear, but I don't think he can. He still thinks that,
spare me the ad hom, Zanuck. Yeah, one expands, one's being pushed. There you go, done. Done. One's expanding, one's being pushed. Was that concise enough? Don't need a string of ad homs with it, Zanuck. Yes, he's wrong. He doesn't need to be ad hommed and made to... The demonstration of his stupidity in this example can be held back.
I didn't ad hom him. I just think he's confusing.
You're right. I agree. He's stupid. But that's not necessary when you could just give a... You could give a concise explanation for the fact that one is an expansion and that one is a movement. And that the last time you did it, you gave it so concisely with the... I can't do it through Spurs getting triggered. Yeah? Last time Zanuck gave a really concise explanation about the orders of magnitude difference between the expansion and the movement. Now, I'd rather have that than you telling me how dumb Spurs is, which I already know.
One way to find out if Spurs is wrong, and that is with a demonstration, not words that are not even wise.
Thank you for that. How profound. Thank you, Spurs. That's wonderful.
Well,
Thank you. So profound that we need to...
useless if the person you're trying to demonstrate it to is literally not paying attention.
Yeah, not listening. Ignoring it, having long pauses and then ignoring the things that have just been said or the demonstrations that have just been made. It's not a reasonable conversation we're having with Spurs.
There is no conversation. It's a demonstration. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for proof that pressure exists. We have not had one in weeks.
He's given us one yesterday on the show with a vacuum chamber having the atmospheric pressure removed and a differential created. When it was said last time, again, pause, hand wave, ignorance of his own demonstration that pisses in the face of his claim that he's just made. Nobody believes this except you,
Nathan?
Spurs.
Just put my screen on for me and ask Spurs to interpret what he sees.
Spurs is in Discord, but you can go to the live stream on Nathan Oakley channel.
I see the screen.
Because it shows Spurs.
Well, show the audience anyway, and we can describe it.
But Spurs,
he said if you put a mirror onto the exhaust.
Hold on. Spurs, can you go to the Nathan Oakley channel live stream and see what's on screen? Yes or no?
I'm there. I can see he's got a piece of paper
Thank you.
He's
That's
put the
all I
paper on
need.
the ground.
Go ahead, Anthony.
So Spurs said if you get a mirror and put it in front of the exhaust valve on the compressor on the tank, would it come out with any liquid? And all right, he hasn't done it with a mirror, but he has done it with something that would demonstrate whether or not there would be liquid in the gas coming out. Spurs. This is the point where you've got to explain what you think you're seeing and how it supports your position.
What's it got? What's this? What is it?
Tissue paper.
It's the thing that you asked me for a minute ago.
It's a paper, a dry paper, and you can see pressure pushing against it, and it's still dry afterwards.
Come on now. Well, what?
Hold on. Go ahead, Flatsoid. Can you, rather than him completely hand-waving it before you've even given the example and explanation of what you're doing, go ahead, please.
I first showed a puddle of water in the bottom where it's drained the water. Then I showed you a dry piece of paper, put it against there, waited for it to push again. What do you behold? Pressure pushes the paper actually almost out of my hand, and the paper is still dry.
For your 11 frames, yeah, because you're not doing things in the correct way. Now, you're using a piece of paper.
Obfuscation again.
I ask you for a mirror, you bring a paper. I ask you for a container, you bring me a tanker that we can't even see. And so everything that I'm asking for, you're doing the opposite.
We must have a mirror at work.
Again, I'm on your side because we want to prove that it's not just water.
I dropped that you're on our side when, in this discussion, irrelevant of our overall position, you're not on our side. I don't get it.
And you literally just punched him in the gut.
Yeah, David Dallas
like,
does the same thing, doesn't he?
Come on, Spurs.
David does the same thing. He's in complete opposition of your position, but will then tell you that he's on your side. Like it matters. In the same way it doesn't matter about what side I'm on when it comes to Zanic's example being correct or incorrect. If he's right, then I'll side with him. If he's wrong, I won't. But his overall position and side, who cares? It's not agree, disagree. He's either right or he isn't.
Truth, Nathan, that's my side. And what I would like for Zanik, not Zanik, sorry, I've got Zanik on the brain here. What I would like a Flatzoid to do is show scientifically and empirically and validate these things, that there is no water, zero water, zero.
What he just asked you for, this wasn't enough.
Can I quickly give a hypothesis here? Can I give a hypothesis and experiment for you?
It's a very high level right now because we're trying to find the truth.
He's trying to, Spurs.
Spurs, can I give you a hypothesis and experiment here? So I can explain to you.
Spurs, what about when we fill?
Hold on, Zanik. Hold on, Zanik. Zanik, you're going to start a cross conversation. Go ahead, Flatsoid. Just tell him.
You wanted to be scientific, right? You're saying the cause of air pressure is water. I'm showing you that it's not. I'm showing you what will happen. It's a dry piece of paper. If the water goes and it pushes out onto the paper, it will still be dry, which means it's not water causing or air pressure. And that is exactly what I showed. So obviously, my hypothesis, water does not cause air pressure. Thank you.
Did the pressure reduce?
That's not a hypothesis. You don't test the null. Anyway, aside from that non-formulation of the scientific method, yeah, fine. He's demonstrating there's no water there. Fine, that'll accept.
So, did you have less pressure?
Matter.
Obviously, it's pushing pressure out. You saw there against the paper. It's pushing the pressure out.
Hold on, but that doesn't make any sense. If you pressurize a container with just air, you remove the water, you're removing the pressure. What should that tell you?
No, he's not. That's just a fundy assertion that we're demolishing with this example. But in the face of it, basically, you'll just reassert your position. That's all he's got now, just a reassertion of his crap claim. No debunking. You haven't demonstrated Jack. He's demonstrated a debunking of your position. You've just reasserted your position. That's not a debunking. You're not a globehead. Why are you doing this?
Can I have a minute?
Can I remove the water?
I've listened to this, and all I've heard is Spurs has asked specifically for Flatzoid to go out and spray the compressor against something to show that there was no liquid inside the container. He did that. He came back with a result, and he still ignored it.
Yeah, well summarized.
Yep. And then slightly punched him in the gut in the meantime.
That's not a result that he asked for.
It's fine. Don't worry, silent. It's okay. We can move forward. But the question is, Flatzoid, when you removed the water, did the pressure go down?
Obviously, you saw it pushed pressure
That's
out
not your
onto
claim. That's not what he's trying to debunk. Who cares? What's this red herring got to do with anything?
Forward, okay, fine. No water came out of that, what he showed on the paper. Fine. There was no water. Fine. But the question is...
No. What do you mean, but? That's the concession. Not, but I've got some load of crap to string onto this concession I've just ham-handedly made and will now dance past as quick as I've made it.
Yeah,
no.
On it, right?
No water, no pressure. That's your claim. Bullshit. Debunked.
Especially when you had a video made expressly for you on the spot.
Well done, Flatzoid. You showed that when you spray the air onto paper, that there's no moisture. Excellent. Okay, but what I'm asking you is, when you removed the water, did the pressure go down?
Who cares? It's the third time I've said it debunks your position. Sorry, Flatzoid. I keep stealing your thunder. Go ahead.
I said it 3 times. To release the water, it has to push air. So obviously, it pushed air. It pushed dry air. Did it push with water or did it push dry air? The container is
conceded.
off. So the pressure that's inside is going to be released. Use your brain, please.
Well, Spurs, we all know water is 1,700 times less dense or more dense than the gas. We all know that, all right?
When you remove the water,
1,700 times. So yes, you remove the water, pressure will go down.
It's been a few times this has happened. Yeah, go ahead, Sonic.
But then you can add the pressure back without the water, and it remains constant. That makes no sense.
You see what happens? I'm trying to find the truth, just asking simple questions.
Oh, God. Play martyr. Yeah, next globe head trick. Oh, I've been defeated and had to make a concession. And all I'm doing here is looking for the truth. And God, look at me. Woe is me. Oh, shut up.
I'll feed into chocolate.
Shut up. Don't appeal to chocolate. Not interested.
Spurs, listen, what you're doing right now reminds me of Brenda. I did a video demonstrating that Brenda gave false statements of fact to deceive people. I pointed that out, and then she pulled the victim card and reported my video for a community guidelines strike on the grounds of harassment and bullying because I pointed out that she was lying. You're doing the same thing right now.
Are you making me do this?
Pulling the victim card.
Look, there was no water. No, I agree. There was no water on that paper. What more do you want to say?
Well done, Spurs. Anthony's just been a complete prick, and he knows he has. Right, you can't prove Brenda did that, can you?
Yeah, I can. I'm happy that the circumstantial evidence doesn't matter. The point is, pulling the victim card.
Want this to be a row. I know you well enough to know what you're doing. You bugger.
No. He should be admitting that he's got the evidence doesn't support his assertion. He should be admitting that.
I admit.
Spurs, what's the difference between water vapor and air?
You're right.
Spurs.
And the observations that we've seen, water did not go onto that paper.
Just let him get to the end, Sonic.
Spurs, what's the difference?
Zanik, just let him get. I didn't hear a word of what Spurs just said. He's replying.
Spurs.
I want to hear him, Zanik. Don't ask him a new question. Just let him reply to Anthony.
Yes, I'm saying that, yes. From the observations that we saw, and thank you, Flatzoid, yes, there was no water on that paper that you showed us. Yes, well done.
What's the difference between water?
Hold on.
Was that so hard, Spurs?
Hold on. And therefore, gas pressure is not dependent on liquid water?
No, I'm saying the observation.
No. So, see? What was the point in that? The pause afterwards when we're all breathing a relief sigh. No, don't breathe too quickly. No, he's not conceded a thing.
I have conceded.
And so, gas pressure not dependent on liquid water then? Yes, Spurs?
On that paper, yes. There was no liquid water on.
No. The conclusion thereafter being... gas pressure is not dependent on liquid water, Spurs. Yes? See? Just a long pause. Not a yes. Not yet. This debunks my assertion that you need liquid water to have gas pressure. Just a pause. Yes,
Spurs? We observed that. What we observed was that paper did not become moist.
And therefore...
that was the observation.
And therefore... the conclusion...
Therefore, that paper does not become... Therefore, the paper does not become moist.
Because there's no water.
Know that, do we?
Well, yeah, because it didn't become moist.
Paper never, yeah.
Yeah,
Expect
so,
it to.
and
That's the one
therefore, yeah, so we've got the concession. Now shut your mouth. And therefore, gas pressure's not dependent on liquid. You can't do it. He's doing a dawn, isn't he? He won't concede to the actual point, the example, and the conclusion thereafter. He'll say, oh yeah, well there's no moisture then. Well, your claim is specifically dependent on that moisture. So therefore not dependent on there being liquid water, Spurs.
Yeah, I don't know what church that's from, but...
Not church. You just said no moisture and gas pressure, debunking your fundy claim that you've made for the last month.
Hey, so on the paper there was no moisture.
And therefore, gas pressure not dependent on liquid water.
That's a belief, right?
No.
I still don't even understand why you went on this weird little gas pressureless exploration tour of yours. It never made any sense. Why are you so persistent about this?
Doing a dawn again, rumpusing the crap out you, Arwin.
Listen, anybody, I'm simply saying that what we observed was paper not becoming moist. Okay, let's move on to the next scientific test.
And therefore,
science never sleeps.
It's a reification fallacy. Science doesn't have a head or a pillow. It's a method.
They say a faith, yeah, once you have a faith, that's it. You believe. But science never stops there. Okay, the paper didn't become moist.
He's just rambling on bloody word salad now, isn't he?
Can I say something?
Good.
Yeah. Okay, let's put it this way. Last Friday, you specifically said, if someone can demonstrate to me with having gas pressure without water, I will concede. I said, sure, fine. Monday, I'll do it. Monday comes, I send it to you. You just don't answer, nothing, carry on, fine. Now you ask again for another demonstration because you want to see if the water is actually going to come on a mirror or a sponge. Instead, I use a piece of paper. It proves otherwise, and yet you still say, demonstrate, please. What's your problem?
Oh, you've done your demonstration, which is fine.
Hold on. What you have to do is put a rack in front of the nozzle and release the air really fast, and it will get moisture. That's a
phase changes, yeah, because of phase changes.
Well, exactly. And there's no way you can avoid this. Even if you dry all the water out, if you release the air really fast and put a rack in front of it, like hold it tight to the nozzle, you will get moisture on it.
Correct.
That's a fact.
Hold on. So, is that the case, Flatzoid? You pressurize the air, remove the water, and when you spray it, you end up with moisture on your paint anyway.
No,
yeah,
Nathan,
it just contradicts itself. I might as well take the air dryer out. It's fine.
That's Flatzoid. He's the one made the example. You haven't. So unfortunately, the guy just asked this question and made a declaration.
I have used it.
Is now talking over me. Hasn't done this, have you?
I have.
Be patient, Silent, because remember these guys.
Hold on, he's saying he has Spurs. Spurs, I don't mind being wrong. Spurs, I don't mind being wrong. So you're saying you have demonstrated this?
I have done it. The problem is that you don't know that, like, the water that you dry up is because you don't want it to mix with your paint. The one that I'm talking about is just like really small particles of water.
Yeah, we're talking about an example that's had the... Sure, that's fine. That's fine. We're talking about an example that's had the water removed, though, aren't we?
I just explained to you, Nathan. I don't know if you've
ignored what I've just said. Maybe repeat what I've just said, so I know that you're going to acknowledge it. You're ignoring it like Spurs does. You're ignoring what I've just said. The example we're talking about, though, unlike the equivocation that you've just given with something completely different, where you do have moisture in the air that you're spraying that condenses through a phase change, we're talking about, and have demonstrated and put onto a live stream, an example where the moisture is removed. Now, you going to dance past that a second time, or are we going to do this 5 more times like with Spurs?
Moisture is not the same as water in liquid form, right, Nathan? You do understand that, right?
And in this example, regardless of what describes it, It's been removed.
No.
That's another way of obfuscating my point. You seem to have danced past it for a second time, just in a different way. Now you're rumpusing me. So in this example, why am I getting rumpus continually? So in this example, though, that moisture, regardless of how it's described, has been removed. So we're not using the example where you put moisture back into that pressure to see it go through a phase change. That's not what we're doing in this example that's been demonstrated on a live stream and only filmed minutes earlier by the guy making the example.
Okay, Nathan. If you dry all the water out and then you put the rack in front of the nozzle and you let air out.
Yeah, he just did that for a live stream of almost 100 people. That's what they've just witnessed.
You were... No,
Hello?
Nathan,
That's what's just been done! Unbelievable.
I'm desperate to defend this pressure thing, Nathan.
I don't get it, Dawn. I really don't get it.
A bit fundamentalist.
Yeah, I agree,
Nathan,
Dawn. It's nice to be on your side in this assertion, Dawn. For a change, we are of like mind. Yes, you are correct.
You're desperate for the pressure to be a real thing, aren't you?
Oh, sorry. You're saying that I think pressure's not real.
Wow.
Oh, Dawn. Really,
now.
Dawn? You're taking allegiance with the flat earthers who think pressure's not real now, are you? Wow, what an interesting position.
No,
your allegiance is with the flatties who think pressure's not real.
Desperate that it is real. That's what you
Who
sound
said
like.
it's not real? See, you don't understand the
You said
point,
it's
right?
not real if there's no water.
Pressure is real, but it has to have water in it.
No. That's what the... So he is going to whistle past it with a little bit of obfuscation and help from Dawn. No. You see, we had an example where the moisture was removed, and that was demonstrated to Spurs. You piped up and said, no, it'll go through a phase change. And then when we go through your example, we realise that actually it's an example that you've done where there is moisture in the pressurised air that can go through a phase change. Unlike the example that we've given you where air pressure was achieved without any need for any moisture to be there.
Hold on, Nathan. Are you just like avoiding the or are you really like...
Wow, he really is just Spurs' next man in line, isn't he? No, I'm not avoiding anything.
Goodness.
You're avoiding our demolition of this claim that you need water.
Nathan, the example that he gave, did he put the rack in front of it to check if there was any moisture left?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He did?
Yeah.
He did?
Yeah.
I used the paper.
How many more times? Yeah, you did. Yeah.
And it was dry.
Can you put a link here for the video to see it?
It was just played out to nearly 100 people.
And I'll concede.
Thank you.
He did that.
Amazing.
Oh my gosh, so simple.
A reasonable guy. Amazing.
Yes.
Thank you.
Finally, a patient.
Thank you, Silent.
Spurs. Let's see if we can get the same from you. Spurs. So gas pressure, Spurs, not
Wait a second,
dependent on water.
You made a point about your painting machine using compressed air. Was that compressed air dry or not dry?
I want to see. I want to
Flatzoid.
watch the video because I didn't.
Question about your paint. You said you're a painting expert.
What he said, Nathan. He said,
was it dry or not?
Give him a link to that video with the rag over the exhaust, he will concede.
Exactly, that's what I said. I don't know if he misunderstood me. If in that video he shows the rag put in front of the nozzle, let air out, and there's no moisture in it, I will concede. And you say in that example he did that. So I want to watch that video.
About 6 people said yes.
Every time someone disagrees to make it video.
Go on, Flatzoid, just explain, because it seems literally like they're blind to this. And 6 people saying yes, they didn't hear.
Every time someone disagrees, I must make a video. Don't I have better things to do in my life?
It's preposterous. I mean,
So
thank
he
you for
does
doing
two
it, Flatzoid.
experiments, but the main one he's too busy to do. Okay, great. That's great for science. You're too busy
I gave
to
you
show
2
the world
demonstrations proving you
Maybe
wrong.
Spurs is just a promise breaker and a liar.
That's exactly what Spurs is.
He runs around his garage performing all experiments but the rag and mirror one. Great. Well done.
Spurs, you didn't know he did it on a piece of paper. What's the difference between a piece of paper and a mirror?
Am I in the Twilight Zone? Literally, we play it out, we show them. It's been filmed minutes earlier. We discussed it. We've got their concessions. Spurs even agreed that it wasn't being made moist. So now it's like it hasn't even happened. It's amazing.
I wasn't here.
Yeah, that's because Spurs and Double D think they're going to get famous with peer review on this.
Oh, here we go. 10th man's divining motivation.
I didn't watch, Nathan.
No,
I didn't watch the video. That's why I'm asking to watch it.
Hey, you're a good guy. You conceded.
No, exactly. But Double D conceded on your show, Nathan, that they're going to get this theory of theirs to peer review and they're going to be famous for it. Double D said it. I am not divining motivation.
Look forward to David and Spurs debunking gas law.
Yeah, that should be fun.
Right.
No, I don't think you guys understand his argument though. For what I hear you guys response.
His argument is
see, I am in the Twilight Zone.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Well, what they're asking you is like, let's say you have a tire burning, right? And there's smoke coming out of the tire. Is that smoke pressurized? Does that smoke have pressure?
It's not.
Has to actually be able to have.
It's an honest question. It's a
fair enough question. Wait, go ahead, Flatsword. I heard you speak
so
first.
Yes. Obviously, it would have to have pressure to burn. I mean, if you're in a vacuum chamber, try and light a match and see if it's going to burn. It needs oxygen. Oxygen needs pressure.
No, hold on. The question is, there's a tire outside your house burning. There's smoke coming out of the tire. Is that smoke pressurized, or does that smoke? Can you measure pressure on that smoke?
You stick a
how would you measure pressure of smoke?
In the smoke and read pressure is what he's asking. If nobody understands,
everyone, I understand.
Nobody understand what I'm asking.
If anybody else answers.
Nobody understands. Everyone's lost their heads.
Spurs.
See, now they're thinking, how would I measure the pressure of
Spurs?
Smoke? You see,
having a 2-second pause while a few people figure out who's going to answer the question isn't us not understanding.
Go for it. 10th man, you tackle this one.
I think it was Flatsword trying to answer. There was a couple of people rumbling.
So who's gonna?
I'll tackle anything, Spurs, as long as you concede and keep your promise and stop being a liar.
Answer.
Don't obfuscate. Don't obfuscate.
Answer me. You said if you can take the water out, I will
obfuscation.
Oh
ding 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 ding.
Ding 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 ding
oh
ding.
Oh my god.
Okay. Right, no one's answering it. Right. No worries. I'll step in. Right. So, smoke is used in some examples to demonstrate something that's invisible, but it's not actually a gas. It's tiny particles of a solid. But its behaviour is useful in terms of examples. The same could be applied to the water vapour that comes out of a kettle and a few other things as well. They're not actually a gas, but you can use them to make a visual comparison about certain gas behaviour. Now, at a fundamental level, Spurs, you don't understand gas behaviour. If you did, you would understand why fundamentally having gas gives us gas pressure.
Which is the point that Adam Meakin said when he joined the other day. Spurs didn't understand gas and how gas behaves, gas law. That's what Adam said.
Yeah, that's what it gets. It gets a bit of laughter. What gas does and how it behaves. If you understand that at a fundamental level, you cannot deny that it's causing pressure. It's what it does when it hits something. And how much it hits something is how high the pressure is. The size of the container, if you've got the same quantity of gas, can dictate the pressure if you enclose it more. Boyle's law. So pressure volume law, essentially. The smaller the volume, the greater the pressure. Well, that law is based around the principles of how gas behaves. It's a molecule moving randomly in all directions. And when it collides with something, that is the pressure.
So Nathan, would you agree when you see that smoke, as it goes up, you see it less and less, right?
Yeah, it's again a useful analogous visual example of dissipating gas.
All right.
Yes.
All right. So the reason why I'm asking you this is because all the gases and everything originates from the ground up, right? As you go up, there's less of it. the more altitude
Pressure
you
gradients.
gain.
Just let him make his example unimpeded, please. I'm not nodding along, so he's not being interrupted. Go ahead.
So all the gases originate down here on ground, right? You agree with that or no?
I'm just your rhetorical questions. I'm just assume I'm agreeing.
It's not rhetorical. He's asking you, do you agree?
So
yeah, the gases are fine. If you actually want me to concede, no worries. Step by step, I'll nod along. Yes.
All right. So
you agree that gas originates
Dawn,
from
this
the
isn't
ground,
your
Nathan?
example. Go ahead.
What I'm asking is, wouldn't you? The reason why I ask if you can measure the pressure on that smoke is because if you can't, it will be the same on the air originating from the ground.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Right, smoke's not gas.
I did say this to Anthony the other day about all the gases.
It seems that Spurs has decided that it's his time to talk. I qualified this initially. While smoke is used in certain examples to give you an analogy that's visual to gas, it isn't gas. It might be suspended because it's very small particulates of solids that are getting bounced off the invisible gas so you can see it. That doesn't make it gas.
But we can tell they behave the same way, isn't it? You can breathe smoke, you can breathe air.
No, it's considerably more dense. It has different particular behaviour. It's clumped together as a solid with bonds. So fundamentally, it's not gas. It's useful in some examples, not this one. So when what would it be? When this is used in the manner that you are, it becomes a false equivalence, unfortunately.
Nathan,
I
just want to hear the other guy, not Spurs, not
smoke,
Sleeping Warrior, not Chocolate, just the guy I'm talking to. Go ahead, my friend.
It's just in from Wiki.
Not you, Dawn. Not you, Dawn. The guy I'm having the conversation with, shockingly.
I never said they were the same, Nathan. I say they behave the same way.
They didn't. At the beginning of this conversation, the way it was phrased was that you assumed smoke was gas. You can deny that all you like. No, we can pull it apart later if you like. I can reassess it in the recording. But your phraseology was such... whenever somebody's proven to be wrong, or shown or demonstrated to be incorrect, they start to rumpus the living shit out of me. The way you initially phrased it was to ask me about how the behaviour of a gas, smoke, which it isn't, was to cause pressure. That was your question. So it is my claim that you assumed smoke was gas, correct?
It is partly gas.
Not you, Dawn.
Check your citations, Nathan.
Not you, Spurs.
I've
got loads of triggered fundies. Not what part of this aren't you getting? I'm not having a conversation with Dawn or Spurs.
My whole point of this conversation, Nathan, is to show how you can equate because they behave the same way.
Right. So Nathan, let me ask. Is it, Nathan, when we say gravity is not a force, but you can think of it as a force, does it translate into smoke is not a gas, but you can think of it as a gas?
No.
No, Anthony. Wikipedia says
of course, he's asking me.
Let's
Spurs
not make
is going to
things
bloody
even
answer.
more confusing, please.
No. It has some useful properties that can be used to make demonstrations that are visual. Doesn't make it a gas. Doesn't obey gas
Look
law.
at the citation here.
Hold on. All I was trying to make is to show you guys with a visual, so that you can see what we're talking about.
Yeah, it's analogous.
I agree with him.
I've said this 5 times, right? It's analogous in certain circumstances. That doesn't mean it's the same. So it doesn't behave the same in all circumstances. Just useful to make an analogy in certain circumstances. So to equivocate it and say, well, it always behaves like gas then. No, that's an equivocation.
I never say they behave. I never said that. Sorry, Nathan.
Yes, but you did.
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I did not say that.
Okay.
So what's the conclusion of the point then?
Yeah, good question, Anthony.
Well, I just said that what I'm trying to do for you guys to visualize if the oxygen and everything generates from the ground up, you don't need it to be pressurized or to have pressure down here. It's originating from down here. You can breathe it, and as you go up, there's less of it. The same, and the reason why I put the smoke is so that you
Hold
can
on,
see that on.
Hold on, my friend.
I haven't finished. All right.
Go ahead.
All right,
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, and the reason why I put the example with the smoke so that you guys can visualize what I'm talking about. Like in the bottom of where the smoke is coming up is gonna be more darker, and as it goes up, it's less and less. And that smoke is not pressurized at all, and you still can breathe it and everything. So that was what I was trying to say.
Okay, sure. Well, it's suspended, and eventually its density will dictate that it will come back down again and fall on things and make them dirty.
Well, no, if it's originated from the ground, you don't need to come back down.
You do if your high density dictates that you will.
Well, the denser is gonna stay down here, right? We know this.
Right, but initially smoke doesn't, does it?
Well, that's. I don't think you understand me yet. I guess you understand me, but
smoke goes up
just
and
like,
then it
Nathan,
dissipates and goes down
smoke
again.
is just like a visual thing for people to imagine, like to visualize it.
Yeah.
But what I'm talking about, like the air and everything, we know, like the denser it stays down here. We don't need to be pressurized on it or anything.
Yes, because you've used an equivocation with something that's not gas. I've gone through that 7 times.
Do they behave the same way, Nathan?
No.
No.
Which
way they don't?
I'll say it again. Maybe an 8th time it'll sink in. It's useful to use smoke in certain circumstances because it's visually analogous to certain gas behaviour. It's the same with fluids. You can use fluids and compare how a gas can sometimes, when tightly packed, behave a bit like a liquid. Even though there's still no bonds, but it doesn't mean that it's a liquid.
That's what he's doing, mate. He's using it as an analogy.
Yeah,
That's
but
exactly
it's a false equivalence. If the example is that because smoke falls back down, our gas won't expand following the second law of thermodynamics, it just becomes a false equivalence. Sorry, it's a fallacy, a fallacious claim, because the two are not the same.
If you believe in the second law of thermodynamics, you're a fundy.
I'm a fundy because I believe in natural law. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Why you guys are hung up on the smoke?
The scientific
it's
method.
He's a narcissist law lover.
I just explained the reason why I put the smoke is like for you guys to visualize what I'm thinking about the air and all the oxygen and everything that is coming out of the ground. And as it moves up, the lighter gases is gonna move up. And
what in the world is going on now?
But Nathan's response is can you address Nathan's response?
Me? Yeah, what was his response?
It's a false equivalence fallacy because the two are not the same. While they might be analogous in certain examples, you are using it to say that they behave the same as gas when smoke doesn't behave the same as gas, even though you can use it as a useful analogy in certain circumstances. That's the 9th time I've said that.
And I ask you, Nathan, for the 4th time, in which way they don't behave the same way?
They're not the same.
They're not gases. What is he saying?
Saying that smoke and its behaviour proves that gas will retain.
Nobody say proof. I'm sorry.
Well, whatever. I'm sorry if that's a slight
What kind of
misrepresentation.
smoke?
Smoke from a fire.
Number 1.
Any smoke.
What
vapor,
is smoke?
Anything.
Number 2. Okay.
Vapor
what is
anything
smoke?
oh my God. It's a visualization.
Hold on, John's summarising it, right? We've gone through these steps. What is smoke? Well, that's been summarised. Well, it's very small particulate matter of solids suspended in the air.
You should give up because you're completely upside down on this one. You don't understand between the difference between smoke and gas or vapor.
Zanet's on form.
You can see you're not gas.
Yeah, Zanet, when the condensation...
It's been an interesting show.
I haven't heard.
Zanet, when the water leaves...
Yeah, we're going to round out.
Could you measure the pressure
I thought
of
it
how
was soot.
water is leaving the
I thought it
ozone
was
layer?
soot.
I'm never going to retain control of this train wreck during the live show, am I? So I'll try and retain some control afterwards. But with that, I'll say if you are watching this on the Nathan Oakley 1980 premiering stream, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you are watching this live on Nathan Oakley, this is where we bid you farewell. A huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of today's debating panel for making this live show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you in the audience for liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum. As I say, stay tuned if you're watching on Nathan Oakley 1980 premiering stream. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!